Have you ever deleted a tweet? Just curious.
Yes.
Okay.
I have.
All right.
Many. Yeah.
I don't mean you wrote it and then didn't post it. I mean you wrote it, posted it, and then went back and deleted it. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, it's normally within the first 10 seconds. I went from being the media darling who the news and all these people would, play my parodies on air and, have a good laugh. But then suddenly, now that I was taking aim at politicians, the media were calling me all kinds of things and saying I'm racist. For the first time, I realized the media are maybe not so accurate in their reporting because, I'm saying one thing and it's clearly satirical, but now they're saying this, that I'm racist. The next step is to figure out the basic time signature or tempo rather. So like when I'm listening to, I don't know, Donald Trump going, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets. In my head, I'm going, okay.
That's a rhythm. Yeah.
Like, what tempo is this at? They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
And what is your source of truth? Your main source of truth?
Just give me a second. Yeah, this book right here. I just want to get the light there. Get the light nice. People don't like the truth. They don't like hearing the truth. So I'll get attacked from all corners. But when you know something is true, it becomes easier to kind of deal with it because you just know that what you're saying is based on the foundation of God. If you look at modern societies, it's built off of Christian foundational values, like the founders of the states, like they were all believers and they knew exactly what it would take to create a free society. So I want to take Erica Kirk, for example. I mean, probably one of the most profound moments, at least in my life, just seeing this woman who's just had her husband murdered, forgiving the person that murdered him. There's so many people that I think needed to see that. In the wake of Charlie Kirk, I've noticed that a lot of conservative commentators they become quite like aggressive. People who call themselves Christians, but there's a sort of militant element to what they are saying, which I think is maybe a little bit dangerous. They're creating a sort of us versus them, left versus right war, which I think is unhealthy and is only exacerbating the problem.
Hey everybody, Heinz Winkler here. I'm so excited to welcome you again to the In HeinzSight BoldCast. And today I'm very privileged to welcome to the show the Kiffness, Dave. Hello, my friend. Welcome to the In HeinzSight BoldCast.
Heinz, very good to be here. Thanks so much for having me. And it's amazing speaking to the man I saw on TV all these years ago on Idols, the first Idols winner. And now
yes,
our paths have finally crossed. My parents always told me that I probably shouldn't pursue a career in music unless I go on Idols and maybe become the one in a million that actually wins the competition. And that's kind of how I saw the music industry for many years, but somehow, managed to make it work. And somehow, by God's grace, we're here together now and, very, very different stories, but
yes,
also very similar just from what I've seen. And so good to be here so we can chat.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you making the time. We've been trying to coordinate our diaries for a while, and between our schedules, especially yours traveling overseas, it's been a bit of a challenge. But I just want to, off the bat, just want to say, even though I've never met you and we haven't become, close friends or anything, I do feel a great connection with you. I have a lot of respect for you. The things that you stand for, that you are vocal about. I'm inspired by that, and I really admire you for having backbone and not accepting injustices. So well done for that. And today I really want to get to know a bit more about the man, about how you came to to do what you do and all the other things that go on top of that. It's a very interesting, unique story. So yeah, let's dive into that. I think that's the whole point of today. So if I'd like to start by asking you, what is your personal story about how you came to Christ? Because you are, everybody kind of knows by now that you are a Christian, you love Jesus, you stand firmly on that. Please tell us, how did it come to that? Have you been one from a young age? Did it only come later in life? Please share a bit about that. Thank you.
I would say my first real encounter with Jesus or God was probably in high school. I went to a school called Michael House, or Balgallen High, as we like to call it. And there was this thing called Christian Fellowship, which happened, every Friday in the crypt, which is a little room, underneath the chapel. And, a friend of mine invited me to this thing and, told me that there's hot chocolate. You can have a cup of hot chocolate and a marshmallow. So I thought that sounds nice because we don't get those kind of things in the day room. And I thought, let me just go along and see what this is about. And for the first time, I saw, God in a very real way, because there were first team rugby players who were, giving their testimonies to a bunch of guys in the crypt. And I was like, what is this? This is,
wow.
I always thought this guy was like a big, tough rugby player. Now he's, opening up his heart and being honest about God and his relationship with God and his struggles and all this kind of stuff. And I just thought this is so refreshing. And, I went back a couple times. It was also the first time I saw guys, playing guitar and singing, these kind of modern worship songs. And, I could play a little bit of drums. My brother taught me how to play drums because he was at my class before me and was in the jazz band and that kind of thing, and played drums in the jazz band. So I learned how to play the drums through him. And these guys at Christian Fellowship said, we need a drummer for the worship. So I was like, cool, this is a good opportunity to, kind of just showcase my musical ability and just kind of help out in that way.
Were you at that time already into music at school?
Yeah. So
with the drumming, but in other ways as well? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been in the choir, in the jazz band. I was playing trumpet in the jazz band at the time. The singing. At
what age did you? At what age did you start making music, playing music?
From quite a young age. One of my earliest memories is sitting in my cot listening to classical music, most notably Handel. My mom used to play Handel's water music for me.
You remember a moment from your cot? That's amazing.
No, it's actually amazing. Like, if I listen to Handel's water music now, I can remember the stories that I conjured up in my mind as I listened to the music. I kind of use the music as the soundtrack for this movie that I made in my mind. And that's amazing. One of my earliest, that's one of my earliest memories.
Sure.
And then my grandmother, who I never met, unfortunately, she was a concert pianist. And one of the things that she left for us, for our family, was her baby grand piano, which, lived in our living room.
Wow.
So when I learned how to walk, I went from the cot to the piano and started pressing the buttons and just figuring out how to play this thing.
Wow.
And my brother, again, who's like a little bit older than me, he could play chopsticks and what's that song? I don't remember the name, but it's like one of the first songs that you learn.
That one. Okay, yeah.
That's the one. So I would play the dun dun dun.
Yes. There we go.
Well, my brother played the bottom parts, and I kind of just got into piano that way. And I think from a young age, I guess I noticed that I could listen to a song and then play it back on the piano, which I didn't know was a gift, if you could call it that. I was just doing it for fun. And
so cool.
Yeah, I learned how to play the piano from a young age. And then, yeah, just throughout junior school, I went to Prydwen prep school, where they taught us how to play recorder and that kind of thing. And, we had a choir. And then I think when I was in about standard 1 or standard 2, they opened up a music school at Prydwen, and they wanted to create a sort of brass band or like a big band that was headed by this scary German guy. I can't remember his name, but he came into our classroom and he said, "You're going to play saxophone, you're going to play trombone." And then when he pointed at me, he said, "You will play the trumpet."
The trumpet, yes.
So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to play the trumpet. And
It's
the
a
guy
done
kind
deal.
of just,
Wow.
he determined my fate in that moment. So
That's so cool.
yeah, I kind of learned how to play trumpet. We were playing, marching tunes. We played like marching to Pretoria and that kind of stuff.
We
And
are
then the guys
marching to Pretoria.
Ba, 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 ba.
That's right. There you go.
So that's the kind of stuff we're playing. And then the guys who did well in the marching band could then join the jazz band. So I was fortunate enough to be in this small group of guys playing jazz. It was really great. I think for a junior school band, we're actually pretty good.
Amazing.
And the guy who led up the jazz band was, a huge inspiration. He was the person who kind of inspired me to write music and to improvise, and basically told us that, there's nothing stopping us from making our own music and making our own songs. So that's, I guess, when I realized this is something that I can do, even if it's just for fun, as a hobby. And
I just want to say on that, kudos to that teacher, because that is not a normal thing that music teachers would say. In fact,
Exactly.
I experienced the exact opposite in, going through the UNISA track, and felt like I could not do anything else but music that's already written. And it's partly why I eventually I don't want anyone to teach me. I wanted to learn guitar myself. So I taught myself to play guitar, and then from there I could play songs and music that I liked. And it was like a whole new world that opened up. So, you're very blessed that happened. That's amazing. And what a cool story.
No, very cool. And I can remember his first name, Jeff, but for some reason I can't remember his surname. But Jeff, if you're listening, thank you for inspiring me and, helping me go down this path.
Well done, Jeff.
And
so by the time you were in high school and you went to this Christian thing, you had quite a bit of music behind you. You've played a few instruments, and then drums was kind of new, and this was the gap for that.
Yeah. So my brother was. I can't even remember how my brother how he learned how to play drums, but he's always had really good rhythm. My dad, I think, had a lot of rhythm. He actually had a drum set when he was younger. So I think it's just something that is either just, good genes. I don't know if music runs through the genes. It's something that can be debated, I guess. But yeah, music is just something that's always been part of our family. And
so cool.
Yeah. I picked up drums from my brother. It took a while, it's difficult to coordinate 3 or 4 limbs at the same time. But, I was lucky that my brother just had that drum set there. When he was off at boarding school, I could just, mess around on his drum kit, and eventually I got it.
So cool.
Yeah, actually I play drums currently in my church, and my brother as well. Which is pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
We're in the same church, and he actually started this week playing drums in our church, which is really cool. So I can take a bit of a break from playing drums on every second Sunday.
Wow, that helps. All right, so
yeah.
But let's get back. I interrupted you, but I mean, this was important information as well, just to hear your music background. But just back to the initial question of you joined the Christian, what was it called? Sorry, Christian League.
Christian Fellowship.
Fellowship. Sorry, sounds a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started playing drums there.
Yeah, so I got into worship music. It opened my eyes to this world of contemporary worship music. I was just used to singing hymns in the church, and I always thought hymns were nice, but a little bit boring. But being opened up to Hillsong and Chris Tomlin, and there's another guy. Why am I not remembering names now? Matt Redman. That's it.
Yes.
Matt, all that kind of stuff. I thought was just really interesting and refreshing. So, I started listening to a lot of that. And
did you ever come across Delirious? Did Delirious cross your path?
Delirious as well.
But more alternative. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess I kind of I just enjoyed the Hillsong and Matt Redman type of music.
Yeah.
It was a bit more down my alley.
All right.
But yeah, I think that was an important part of me just getting more interested in Christianity. It was through music, and I attended fellowship more often on the Fridays, and then actually started a Bible study in my house. So every Tuesday after prep, we'd go through a devotional just with whoever wanted to come, and it started off small, and it ended up being quite a large group in my house. It was in some nights it was 20 kids.
Wow.
All just wanting to know about Christianity, and
that's awesome.
It was very useful. And yeah, I guess also through Christian Fellowship, we are under the Scripture Union umbrella. So we'd link up with other schools and go on camps and that kind of thing. There's a campsite called Mseni, which is on a farm by one of my classmates, the Green Farm. And Mseni was just a great place for, deepening our relationship with the Lord. And, I got to play with really great musicians. I think they might still be going. There's a band called the Arise Band from KZN.
Okay.
And they needed a drummer again, so I joined the Arise Band for a bit. And it was just a level up from, the broken drum kits in the crypts at my class. I had a proper kit, and we were playing with click track in the ears.
Come on.
Backtrack. And it was really quite cool to just play, at another level. But throughout all of this, I always just thought, this is just a fun thing to do. Music is just something that's a hobby, and never something that I considered to eventually become my career. I always thought, throughout high school, I should get a proper job, become like a doctor or a lawyer or something like that.
A real job.
And and again, my perception was that if you wanted to make it in the music industry, you had to be Heinz Winkler and win idols, which is like
that's the only way.
It's the only way. You have to have Randall saying, "I like this guy," and I
have to sign off. That's classic. If I may ask, how old are you? Just want to check where our timelines have crossed.
Yeah, so I would have just been a kid watching you on TV back then. So I think you may be a little bit older than me, but I'm 37 now. 37.
Yeah, it's a 10-year gap. Okay, I'm 47. Yeah, so you were like high school 14 when I was in Idols. I was 24 when I did Idols. So you were 14-ish. Okay. Crazy.
24. So you're young and wet behind the ears, and probably have no idea what.
Very much clueless. Yeah, no, I was living in a very nice Afrikaans Christian Stellenbosch bubble. I had no idea what the rest of the world was really about. And then I got thrust into the music industry, the belly of the beast. It was hectic. Yeah, and I'm still.
It's actually, as a Christian, even the name Idols.
It was an issue. It was an issue. Many people think I only got saved recently, but I actually got saved when I was 16, and my life completely changed. And then, so Idols was like 8 years after that, and I thought, I can do this thing. I'm going to shine the light in the darkness, but I had no idea how dark it was. You kind of have all these ideals, and then you get there, and it's like a whole other ball game. And it's always easier for the world to pull you down than for you to pull people up. And so I made a lot of mistakes. I did a lot of stupid things that I'm not proud of. But also, I was very blessed to have men of God in my life that would just be there, to lead me, guide me, klap me achter the kop when I needed it, but it's a hectic industry to be in and to navigate. I think on any moral level, it's a challenge because it's all about. I don't know if you've heard this, but the sayings that I heard all the time was, "You're only as good as your last hit. You're only as good as your last show." It's always about pleasing the people, writing the hits, and it becomes a formula, and it becomes even there's just that part of it was always very challenging to me because I didn't want to make something just so someone would like it. I wanted to make music because it's really awesome. And sometimes I got very frustrated because I would write songs that I thought, man, this is awesome. I love this song. And then it just tanks. It doesn't connect with a crowd. And then because it doesn't connect with a crowd, it's not successful, in that terms. So, and then the songs that you think, this is too cheesy or it's not going to connect or whatever, then sometimes that's the song that does the best, and you're like, okay, well, let's just go with that. I'm sure you've had a bit of that as well. But totally. But you did go in a different direction. You when did you have this sort of clear moment of, hey, I can actually do something different. I can do something that's more me or whatever. When did that how did it develop to that point?
I'll take it from the point where, I was playing in Christian bands and that kind of thing. One of my first shows was actually at a Christian festival called Arise Fest. So that was my first show as the Kiffness, with my brother. My brother was doing like live animation stuff and playing drums.
So I have to interrupt. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Since
you mentioned it now, Can we go into why that name? Where did that come from? Because that's the first time you did it as the Kiffness. Where did that name come from? And then you can continue. Please continue. But I would love to know where the name comes from.
I wish I had an interesting story, but I think the most pragmatic reason was someone told me that if you want to be discoverable on the internet, you have to have a name that is easily searchable. If you have like a name like, I don't know, The Table, people are going to try and find your music, and they're just going to be 5,000 other things called The Table before they get to your music. So I thought, okay, I have to have a name that if you Google it, I'm the only thing that comes up. The other part of it was, at the time, it was around 2010 that Die Antwoord were going huge internationally. And I just thought how interesting that this band from Belleville with an Afrikaans name is now like the biggest thing in the world.
That's crazy. Yeah, I can't believe it.
And it was just, it was so funny to me. Die Antwoord on how like this thing that Americans are talking about, die and word,
It was it was the funniest thing, yeah.
And I just thought, this is now an opportunity for me to use a South African word. And if by any chance, it becomes like an international success, which I didn't think it was going to be, to hear Americans and people around the world saying the Kiffness would just be so cool to me. And Kiff was just a word that I used throughout high school. For those of you who don't know what Kiff means, it obviously means, awesome or cool. It's like surfer slang. And it's just something that I used all the time. So I thought, this is a cool name.
It's a Kiff name, man.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there. Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, we used to use terms like that, Kiff, Lank. Like the weirdest words, actually, if you think about it.
I still use Lank.
As it.
Sometimes I throw it into a sentence. Someone's like, Lank. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Or they'll say, "Geez, I haven't heard that word
I
since
haven't heard that in a
80."
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we had some
Yeah.
weird ones. Oh my goodness! And then I think the more local you go, the more slang there is. That's only the locals really understand it.
Yeah. So I think, there's the element of curiosity that people have. They want to know, what does this mean? Unfortunately, in Germany, the word kiff or kiffen means smoke weed. So I get a lot of Germans asking me, like, why are you called the Kiffness? Are you like a pothead, or what's the story there? I'm like, no. So that's quite funny. But yeah, I think.
All right, so you had this first concert where you were playing, and
I even want to go. I want to go even further back, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
So, yeah, I went to Rhodes University after flunking medical school at Wits. Like I said, I thought I always had to get a proper job. My dad was a doctor, so I thought, I want to follow my dad's footsteps because, I saw the difference that my dad made in people's lives.
Wow.
He was an ENT, so he'd help people with their hearing or, like life-changing stuff. And I thought, I want to make a difference like my dad. And I thought, if I could become a doctor, then I can help people through that. I got through half a year of medicine. It was the worst year of my life.
Sure.
Because I didn't have time for music. I was literally at university every day from 9 till 5. I'd get home, I'd study, and there was just no creative outlet for me. And it was really, really difficult. But I'm so glad that I actually went through that experience so that I could realize how important it was for me to actually have this creative outlet.
Wow.
And, people see depression as a bad thing, If you're depressed, it's, you need psychological help or whatever. I kind of see it as the Holy Spirit prompting you by saying you're doing something that you're actually not supposed to be doing. And it's almost like the Spirit nudging you in the direction that you need to go. At least that's how I saw it. Because I really do feel that I was, depressed and probably not a very good person to be around. But I used that depression to kind of guide me, out of something that I was never meant to do in the first place. Or when I say that, I mean, there was value in going through that, but I just needed to get out of it.
Sure, makes sense.
So after Wits, I went to Rhodes to study journalism, which I did 1 year of. After 1 year of journ, you can do second year philosophy, which is what I did. And then the other subjects that I picked up were music, and I even did a bit of sound engineering. But throughout Rhodes, I was just playing in different bands. I got involved in some pretty dodgy bands, if I can say that. There was the ska band called 10 Points for the Dismount. I mean, great guys, but the guitarist was doing his PhD in botany, and he was quite interested in marijuana as well. So he used to make this like crazy strong weed.
Oh my word!
And like I was just this innocent Christian guy playing trumpet in the band, and I tried to keep it off for a while, but eventually peer pressure came, and they kind of got me to smoke weed, but I just thought, no, I don't want to be part of this. So that was like my introduction to drugs, if you can say that.
Okay.
And I just thought, like it was fun, and you smoke weed and you laugh and you eat pizza and it tastes nice, but I just thought, no, this is
so pizza tastes better.
Bad.
Okay. Yeah.
Pizza tastes better, chocolate tastes better, but I thought I don't want to be involved in this because it's just not me.
Yeah.
So I got out of that band, but I was also involved in DJing. I used to play with my mates in the clubs. I've always been interested in dance music and production. Throughout high school, I was producing my own sort of dance music beats. And I was just in the clubs playing what I thought was decent music, lighthearted, fun music. And, it was a lot of fun. But there was a band called Goldfish that came and performed at O Week in my second year.
I remember Goldfish, man. They're amazing. Yeah. We shared a lot of stages. We shared a lot of stages back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. For the first time, I saw, guys who were combining the arts of DJing with live instrumentation. And, at Rhodes, I was playing in jazz bands and DJing, but I always thought they were two separate worlds. But when I saw Goldfish kind of combining the two, I thought, wow, this is amazing. This is something that I definitely would want to do, something similar. And I actually got to meet them. I rolled up their cables at O Week because my friend was in the SRC and actually organized the thing. So she got me backstage and I met these guys.
So cool.
And funny enough, a couple of years later, my brother sent them a video of a walking goldfish. My brother's an animator, and he heard their song Soundtracks and Comebacks and thought it was just a great tune. So he animated a little goldfish walking to the song, and he sent it to them and said, I want to make you guys a music video. And they said, this is great, do it.
Wow.
So my brother, I think, has made about 10 goldfish music videos. And through my brother, again,
no way,
I managed to kind of form a relationship with Goldfish. I used to,
so cool.
A lot of the dance moves in the music videos are kind of modeled off my dancing. So I would do the running man or whatever, and then my brother would animate the Goldfish doing my running man.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
that's
I
so
got
cool.
to meet them through that. Because later on they made a goldfish costume, like a big goldfish man. And they asked me if I wanted to do the same running man on stage at Kirstenbosch. So I was like, cool, let's do it.
You became the goldfish. That's hysterical.
I became the goldfish man.
Oh my word.
Yeah, and just we had a really cool friendship, and they taught me a lot of how to do live electronic music. I got to open for them for their Submerged Sundays. And yeah, they taught me the ropes and kind of guided me in how to get my music onto radio and that kind of stuff. Because like you, I would show them the stuff that I was making. I'd be like, this is super cool. And then they'd say, yeah, we like it, but you can't say that. Radio stations won't accept that. Yeah. My stuff was, pretty out there. And back then, like if you wanted to make it was quite important to have a song on the radio. Otherwise, people didn't know who you were. We didn't have iTunes or Spotify or any of this stuff. Like the only place people could hear your music was on the radio.
Yeah, or live.
And so, or live. But I learned through them how to create or put my song into a package that I could then give to the radio stations, and then they would play it.
Cool.
But it almost felt like I was compromising, my character in a way, because as much as the music was me, there was also a lot missing. It just kind of sounded like a second-rate version of Goldfish. You know? But I managed to get my stuff out there, and I guess I started creating a career for myself. My stuff was playing on the radio, promoted.
Yeah, I remember that. Stuff. Yeah, I remember your stuff coming out. Suddenly you're like, who's the Kiffness? Where's this coming from?
Yeah, so we collaborated with some great singers like Matthew Gold. I've worked with Short Straw, Zoe Madicha, Ami Faku, who's like a huge star now.
Sure,
because I'm not the greatest vocalist, so I put all my sort of energy into music production and just got feature vocalists to kind of sing on the tunes. So I did that for a while, and yeah, I mean, I had moderate success, and then COVID happened, and suddenly we went from having gigs every weekend to sitting at home twiddling our thumbs.
It was a hectic time, sure.
It was. And yeah, I guess it was an opportunity for me to kind of focus on uh, just other things, creating parody songs, which was something that I had a lot of fun with. I just thought everyone's going through the same thing at the moment. Everyone is experiencing lockdown. It's a bit of a crazy time. People are very anxious. How can I use my music production gifts, my sort of quirky side as well, to kind of just lighten the mood a little bit? So that's when I started making parody songs. I kind of had a natural knack for it. It was also kind of the first time I realized I can sing. And, even though I don't have a voice like Heinz Winkler, like it's still listenable.
You can sing, bro. Yeah, you can sing.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think Randall would have ever, put me through to the next round or given me a golden ticket. But
yeah, you maybe could have gotten the same line that I did. You look like an idol, but
yeah.
Okay, so
anyway,
what came first? The videos you took from the internet and remixed, or the parodies, or was it kind of the same?
No, it was the parodies first.
Parodies first, okay, and then came the cat videos.
Yeah, so before the cat videos, I mean, I was quite happy doing parodies.
Yeah.
I had 3,000 YouTube subscribers at the start of lockdown. That quickly jumped to about 70,000 through the parodies.
Sure. And you would just produce all of that in your home studio most of the time, right?
Yeah, a lot of them I'd produce myself, but you can also get the sort of backtracks or the karaoke tracks off of YouTube. So
of course, yeah.
A lot of the time I was just taking the karaoke track and just singing over it, and just changing the words. So that
and you got into some trouble because some of them you were taking on some of our politicians, if I remember correctly. So you got into a little bit of trouble.
That's it. Yeah,
sure.
Like it started off just as lighthearted fun.
And most people realized it was just a joke, but then some took it quite seriously. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it went from parody to political satire very quickly because our politicians started making very crazy decisions about what we can and can't eat, and banning cigarettes and all this crazy stuff that was going on. And so it became quite satirical, which is dangerous ground in this country. I think a lot of people don't understand satire and label you as racist or things like that. I went from being the media darling who the news and all these people would play my parodies on air and have a good laugh, but then suddenly, now that I was taking aim at politicians, the media were calling me all kinds of things and saying I'm racist. And for the first time I realized the media are maybe not so accurate in their reporting, because I'm saying one thing and it's clearly satirical, but now they're saying that I'm racist or whatever it is. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. And they really did put a target on my back. Wow. And there was a mayor of Ekurhuleni, Messina, Zwandile Messina, who also posted my face from a parody that I did and said, "Who is this little racist?" and essentially, started a witch hunt on me.
Wow.
And one of his mates from the ANC, Tony Yengeni, responded to that saying, "Twitter detectives, find this guy and skin him alive." I mean, it was pretty intense.
That's hectic. What
so I wasn't used to this stuff.
That's
I wasn't
hectic,
used
bro.
to this at all.
What was was there one satire video that kind of sparked the whole thing, or was it a few and then it sparked?
I think the first one was pretty well received, but then, the second or third one, I think the media started thinking, okay, this guy's maybe an existential threat to the ANC or to the EFF. And whoever it is that funds these media outlets obviously wasn't happy with what I'm doing and, gave direct commands to go after me.
Wow.
So, the threats were just coming from all angles, and it got quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
To the point where, I didn't really feel safe. because I was just getting death threats, and the media and just the government even came after me. Daily
That's hectic,
Maverick,
bro.
you know, were writing articles about how jokes that I made. There was the COVID alert app that the government, you know, encouraged us to download. And as a joke, as a clear joke, I said, I've just downloaded the government app. It's asking me for my credit card details. Like, what do I do? And then they're saying, no, say you can't say that. It's misinformation. And like people were like calling for my arrest because, you know, it was COVID misinformation.
Oh my goodness.
It was insane.
Wow.
So anyway, after all of this, parody and satire went from something that I really enjoyed doing to now something that, you know, was dangerous, and it wasn't fun anymore. So I thought, let me take a step back from this, because, you know, it's affecting my health and my spirit and everything. And I just thought, let me just go back to making music and, you know, creating something that's fun and completely non-political. And that's when there was a video of a Turkish guy playing the drum with a cat bobbing his head.
I remember that.
The song's called Ivan Polka. And it was like a meme at the time that was doing the rounds. And I thought, this could be quite fun if I could just remix this tune and turn it into something cool. And that song just blew up completely.
Wow.
It went international. I think it's currently got, I don't know, like 70 million views. It's still getting like a couple of views every day.
That's amazing.
And if you read the comments, I mean, it's all positive.
Yeah.
Which was just so refreshing. Because with the satire stuff, I either had really a lot of support or, you know, a lot of hate.
Or
and
both.
I just thought, you know, yeah, I don't want to be the person that divides opinion and polarizes people. Let me just make something that everyone can like. So after Even Polka blew up, I thought, this is great. So I'm going to carry on remixing other people from around the world. I was remixing Mongolian throat singers and all kinds of interesting people. It was just so great to see people from around the world commenting and saying how much they enjoyed it. And I was very happy doing that. You know, from 70,000 subs, it quickly grew to about 1 million.
That's crazy. Yes.
I was like, I didn't really know what was going on, but I was just having a lot of fun, and I was in a completely different headspace. But then someone decided to tag me in a cat video on Instagram and said, can you remix this? Because they saw the other remixes I was doing and said, like, this is a new challenge. Yeah. So my first thought was like, no, that's a bit out there. Like, this is crazy. But there was something in me. I don't know what it was.
Your inner cat.
My inner cat. My inner...
Connected.
Yeah. Just telling me, funny enough, my booking agent at the time had just emigrated to the UAE. And she had a couple of pets that she couldn't bring with her. So she asked me if I could look after a cat. And at first I said no, but she said, please, like, if you don't take this cat, I'm going to have to give it to this crazy cat lady who's got 12 other cats, and, you know, she'll be fine, but I'd prefer it if you took her. So I just said, okay, fine, I'll take her. Man. So we still have this cat. And it was at that time that someone tagged me in this cat video. And yeah, I just thought, let me just see what happens. And I literally had no idea what I was doing. I went into the studio, I put this cat sample into Ableton, started messing around with it, you know, changing the timing and adding a beat and all this kind of stuff. Before I knew it, I actually had a song that sounded half decent, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, well, what is going on here? But it was 2 in the morning, and, you know, at 2 in the morning, many things sound good.
That's true.
But I woke up the next day and it still sounded good, and I thought, okay, I guess I'm going to put this out, and people are probably going to think that I'm crazy. And I was right. People did think I was crazy,
but in a good way.
I guess the right kind of crazy, because like after that, it was just insane. I couldn't believe how that blew up. I mean, celebrities like Ryan Reynolds and Questlove from the roots were like sharing it, and
What? That's crazy.
yeah, I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. But I don't think anything like that had been done.
Yeah.
Where you're just taking a random video from the internet, and it just sounds like noise, but if you just arrange it in the right way, you can actually make music. So,
and I think you started
yeah.
a trend that went worldwide, because I don't know if anyone has done it before you. And then after that, it seems like that thing just exploded. There's this guy called French Music. He does that kind of
French
thing
Fuse.
all the time. French Fuse, sorry.
Yeah.
French Fuse. Yeah, he does that kind of thing.
And he's great.
Yeah. So there's a few that does it, but I think you started something, bro. That's really cool to be the first.
It's very flattering when you see other people doing the same thing, and I encourage it. Like if someone wants to take inspiration from what I've done and borrow that idea, they must do it. And French Fuse is a prime example of someone who's seen what I've done, or I don't even know if he was inspired by me, but he has done like a couple of cat video remixes, and he's completely blown up. So props to him. Yeah, there are a couple other guys who do the same thing.
I like how he uses the sound from funny videos as his kick snare. And then
exactly.
He adds keys, and it's so cool.
Yeah,
and
so that's kind of his thing.
Which is also unique in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
You use like melodies from other people, and then you remix that. And I mean, I can hear, because I'm a muso and I know how production works, I can hear when you have to stretch something, repeat something. But I think most people just go, how did he do that? That's amazing. Makes the whole thing and it's such a cool thing. And it's maybe explain a little bit about how because I can hear you just had fun. You tried stuff and then it started working. But just from a technical point of view, what do you normally do when you find a video like that?
So I drop it into Ableton.
That's software, for those who don't know. Software that you can program music with. Yeah.
Yeah, so they call them DAWs or DAWs, which is a digital audio workstation.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of them. There's Logic, there's Reason. That's funny. Logic and Reason. And then there's Ableton Live. There is Pro Tools. There are a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I like Ableton because you can drop a video into the software and it treats it like audio. So if you have a clip of a cat going lugga, 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 you can literally stretch it to make it go lugga, 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 lugga. And follow a tempo,
and it keeps the video in sync.
And then it keeps the video in sync.
So that is huge. That is a huge bonus. Okay, I didn't know that.
Giving you industry secrets here, pearls of wisdom.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
Yeah, everyone's going to be doing it now. But yeah, if I had to try and do that without the software, it would take absolute ages. So Ableton is amazing in that way. I think Logic and some of the others are able to do that now. I'm not sure, but yeah, I just thought Ableton was the best way of doing that. So once you're able to take a clip and put it onto a click track, you can then add other stuff like a beat and a bass line and all that kind of stuff.
Once you have a basic rhythm, you get the rhythm, and then the click is like, for those who don't know, is like a metronome that keeps you in time. And then the cool thing about digital music is when you play digital music, it'll pull it onto the grid as well. And everything sounds in time, which is really cool.
Yeah, so...
Just stop me if I'm giving away too many secrets.
No. The information must be out there. I want to inspire people as much as we can. But yeah, so the first step is to listen to the clip. And then hear if there's any rhythm or melody there. And then if there is, the next step is to figure out the basic sort of time signature or tempo rather. So like when I'm listening to, I don't know, Donald Trump going, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets. In my head, I'm going, okay.
That's a rhythm. Yeah.
Like what tempo is this at? They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats, And then once you have your tempo, you set that in Ableton and then set the clip around that tempo.
And that, I mean, that one specifically also blew up, right? The one about eating the dogs and the cats, that went huge.
No, it was insane. I've never seen anything like that on YouTube. It was getting, I think, 1 million views per day at a stage.
Yeah, that's nuts, bro.
It got into YouTube trending. So once it's trending, then like even more people see it. So it was number 2 worldwide.
How does that work? If from a music rights usage point of view, like if you use someone's clip, that, I mean, who is there do they pay royalties on your behalf? Do you just get a cut? How does that work? I mean, that blows my mind that you can do that and that they let that slide, and it goes out there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a legal loophole when it comes to politicians speaking.
Okay.
Because it's in the public domain. Yeah, you don't have to pay like license usage for the clip. It's a different story if I was taking a clip from, the Beatles recording in Abbey Road, because they obviously own the license, or their label owns the license to that. So that would be a completely different story.
Okay.
But YouTube is also really great in, making sure that if you do upload something that belongs to someone else, especially with music, whatever ad revenue is made from that video will go directly to the right owner.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I was doing a lot of the parody stuff, I wasn't really making any money from that because, the automatic systems would detect this is an ABBA song. The guys change the words, but they can still tell that it's ABBA, and then will go, whatever money I would have made from that will go directly to ABBA's publishers.
And if you have like a little kid singing from Africa somewhere, and you use their voice and you put some stuff on that, and how does that work? That's different. That's different because obviously when you're working with people, they actually exist in real life, and we try our best to reach out to every single person that we work with, and we try to make sure that they get paid their fair share of revenue from Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff. Sure.
And yeah, with distributors these days, you can set it up pretty easily. You just set up an account for them. Once that's set up, whatever the split is, it will automatically go to them. So the one thing. That's the one way of doing it. The other way is to just pay them directly, like a license fee. So yeah, we'll just hit them up wherever we can on Instagram or wherever we find the clips, and I just say, hey, I'm a music producer from South Africa. This is what I do. We can offer you a split or a license fee for this clip. If you're interested, let me know, and then we'll set up a contract.
That's so cool. Awesome.
Yeah, okay. So we obviously try and do things by the book and make sure everyone's getting their fair share. Normally with the pet stuff, we try and just do a license fee because obviously animals can't own intellectual property.
What?
Yeah, so it becomes like a weird thing. So we just say, here's X amount of money. Is that okay? That kind of thing.
For the owner. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And that goes to the owner, and it pays for the cat's pet food for life, kind of thing.
Nice.
They're paying their way.
And these kinds of tracks have given you world fame, and you've toured, and then when you do live shows, you play these tracks, right? Do I understand correctly?
That's it.
That's amazing. So your hits are these songs that you've reworked from clips and stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's the same kind of songs that I would have pitched to my label or shown to Goldfish, and they would have said, "There's no ways radio stations are ever going to play this."
Now it's massive.
That's the beauty of YouTube, is that there's no middleman and there are no gatekeepers. So the audience decides whether it's good enough, and if people like it, then it just gets plugged into the algorithm, and more people get to see it. So I love YouTube for that reason. It's
Wow.
just, it's a complete meritocracy where if there's an audience that has a demand for the kind of stuff that you're making, YouTube will show it to them.
Wow.
So
That's amazing.
it's been a crazy journey. And yeah, like I always thought it was just going to be a YouTube thing. And then my manager, who's from Germany, he told me we're going to turn this into a live show. And I was like, how? He's like, I don't know. We're going to figure it out.
It's like, that's your problem.
And he actually booked an entire Europe tour. We had some shows in it wasn't an entire Europe tour. I think it was mostly in Germany, but he booked the tour, and I hadn't figured out how to perform this stuff yet. But it put the right kind of pressure on me because, obviously, if I didn't figure it out, I would have rocked up in Germany and been like, sorry, guys, I don't know what I'm doing. But it was difficult because, it's something that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
And I literally had to figure it out. So I came stuck many times, and I got very desperate at a point because I just thought, like, there's no ways I'm going to figure out how to make this work. But that's when I phoned Sean O'Tim, Mr. Sakatumi, who's been in, all kinds of bands throughout the years. He's like an industry legend, and he's played with Jeremy Loops and Max Normal, which then became the Antwoord, actually.
Okay.
So he knows Waddy Jones and Yolandi, and he's also a certified Ableton instructor. So he's like an Ableton whiz. And yeah, I went to him and I just said, please, bro, like, I need your help. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And together we figured out this live show. It's basically, a series of webcams that we set up around my setup, which is just like a little keyboard and my trumpet. And we basically wanted to replicate how the videos look on YouTube in a live format.
Okay.
So these webcams show what I'm doing, whether it's pressing the buttons to form the beat or the bass line and that kind of thing. And it projects onto a massive LED screen or a projector behind me, side by side with the video that I'm remixing. And yeah, it basically all just worked out. And
so cool.
Now it's like this weird live show that we do, and people seem to enjoy it.
They do.
A lot of people.
That's amazing, bro. If you've traveled to quite a few countries.
A lot of people come to the shows. They tell me at the meet and greet, they had no idea what to expect, but they're just curious, and they came with not a lot of expectation, but it was like a great night, and they had a good time. So
that's
always
amazing.
Encouraging, just knowing that I can entertain people in this interesting, weird way.
That's
amazing, that's bro. Where we're at. Yeah, and it's been a crazy year of touring. Got a Europe tour coming up in about a month. Just come from Australia. Toured US and Canada quite extensively earlier this year. So yeah, it's been pretty intense, but it's been good.
Wow. And you're married, you've got kids, and so they must miss you when you're away. But you love your family. I can pick up that you're even if you are traveling so much, you prioritize family as well, right?
Funny enough, I was spending a bit of time with my son this morning, and he hugged me and whispered in my ear. He said, "Daddy, thank you for coming home." And it was like it was quite a poignant feeling.
Wow.
Because he was obviously showing his gratitude that I was there, but also showing me that
when you're away, you're missed
me while I was away.
Of course.
And it's the worst and the best thing as a father, because you want to be there as much as possible for your son. My son's only 3 years old, so I don't think he really understands what's going on when I'm away. I think he has this idea of, I'm going away to play my music for people overseas, and I'm doing it so that I can provide for him. But I think it's still quite a weird concept for him.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, no, it's family changes everything. Like when you become a dad, it shifts the way you see everything. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that I do is for my family, for my wife, for my kid. And yeah, it really does. It's hard being away. It really is hard. But I'm just glad that we have WhatsApp video and all that kind of stuff. So even though it's difficult, we can still see each other's faces. It's a bit difficult when you're in Australia. It's like such a weird time zone.
You're like so far ahead. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
but,
I'd love to know. I'd love to talk about some other aspects of your life. But before we get into that, just maybe, I mean, you do have quite a unique setup. Let me call it that. Most people who are in the music industry and have a profile of making alternative music, they're not exactly known for being the family man. I'm generalizing hectically now, I know, but I think it's refreshing to see someone successful in what they do. As a musician, as an artist, as a producer, and prioritizing marriage, family, and Christian values. Just maybe, I'd love to know, what is your view and your take on marriage, family? How do you see it from your worldview, and how important is it to you, and how important do you think is it to everyone, or should be important to everyone?
So, yeah, like throughout university, I always kind of had one foot in the church and one foot in the world. When I was DJing and all that kind of stuff, obviously they're girls who approach you, and it's like it's tempting and all that kind of stuff. But I just always knew that it wasn't right. Like I could have lost my virginity to these random girls if I wanted to, but I just think God was protecting me from that. There were many moments where I could have just slept with someone, but there was just something telling me don't.
Wow.
So yeah, it is something that is important to me. Not just from like it's not just because it says in the Bible that you should save yourself for your wife. I think people try to separate sex from spirituality. I think people try and justify sleeping around and say that they can still preserve their purity because it's sex doesn't have to be necessarily linked to spirituality, whereas I've always known that it is. Like you can't separate the two.
No.
Like if you're just going to sleep around, you're going to be a broken person. It's probably an analogy that you've heard in sermons, or what do they call them? Life orientation courses at school. But it's something that's always stuck with me, where they give that analogy of, sticking two pieces of paper together with glue. And when you try and tear them apart, you can kind of get the pieces of paper, off from each other, but, you leave pieces of yourself behind. And if you just keep doing that, eventually you end up with like a tiny shred of paper.
Sure.
And that's not to say that those that have had a rough past can't be saved or, receive salvation. I don't think that at all. But I do think if you sleep around willy-nilly, for lack of a better word there, it is going to do long-term damage to you. So I've always been aware of that, and you know, I'm very glad that I was able to save myself for my wife, because it is, we're in a crazy industry when you're just surrounded by, you know, people that want to party and they're drunk, and you know, they're throwing themselves at you. It's a weird place to be in.
Yeah.
Um, and at times it has been tempting in the past, but these days, you know, I just want to be home and, you know, spend time with my wife and my kid. And luckily, the crowds that I play to, you know, are very family oriented. It's the coolest thing. You see young people, old people, and they all kind of seem to be on the same page.
That's so cool.
So I'm glad that I can play those kind of shows now, where the crowd just feels super wholesome. Whereas before, when you're DJing or you're playing trumpet in a ska band, it's just absolute debauchery.
Yes. I can imagine.
So yeah, I think the best thing you can do as a Christian is to not be too preachy and tell people that, you know, they're living in sin or whatever. That I think the best thing you can do is just live by example, and to show people that's, you know, being married to one person and having children and, you know, prioritizing your family is the best possible thing you can do with your life. And I think it does show, you know, people see what you or I have, where we have these amazing gifts from God, which is our family, and it makes life super worthwhile.
Yes.
And that's the only thing I can do, is to, you know, just try be an example to others and to show that this is the way.
Absolutely. Well done.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, in essence, that's one of the strong, I'm just going to do a bit of a shift here, but that's one of the strong messages from someone like Charlie Kirk, and what's really taken family values, Christian values to a next level. And we've seen quite an impact that his life and his death, even a greater impact on the world. And I mean, just over the weekend, recently, Erica Kirk posted "Go to Church," and Elon Musk retweeted that. And apparently, churches in general in the US were flooded, you know, recently on a Sunday. And this is quite an amazing thing. And I mean, one of the strongest messages that Charlie had was love God, get married, have children, build a legacy, you know, work hard. Those were the basics. And there's a lot of people that are highly offended by those basics. But I think that in a way, the world is pivoting back to what everyone actually intrinsically knows is the right way, because it's God's way. You've been, you know, you said something about Charlie and his death, and you lost a big contract. You have been quite outspoken before that on X. You may not be doing parodies, but you are quite vocal about what you believe, and when you see unrighteousness happen in our nation. Just give us your thoughts on where we are at as a nation, as a world. You know, you can talk about the Charlie Kirk thing, you talk about family thing, our nation as a whole. I'd love to just know your thoughts on what drives you as a musician who, I mean, you could make the argument that being political, I know you're not being political as such, you're being spiritual, but actually people see it as being political. But let's say by being controversial, you might be putting your career in jeopardy. That's actually taking off on the one hand, but you're willing to, you know, put your head on a block and say this is wrong, and you know, point out things. Why do you do that, and why do you keep doing that, and how do you balance having a voice for that stuff, but also promoting your music and still having success? I think that's quite an achievement, and I take my hat off to you. But what motivates you, brother?
So, yeah, this is where faith comes in. And I know faith is just a word that's thrown around loosely, but I believe it's faith in action, where you speak the truth, knowing what the consequences might be, but you know that by saying it, you're doing the best possible thing. And you do it despite what the consequences of that might be.
Wow.
I think there are too many people who are moderate who would rather just go about their lives quietly and, just raise their families quietly and, pay their taxes quietly and just get on with their lives, which I think is, most people in South Africa and around the world. They just want to get on with their lives.
Yeah.
We're at a point now in history where I just feel that we can't actually afford to stay quiet. If you see something that is a lie and you do nothing about it, that is, in my opinion, a sin by omission. Where you could have said something, but you don't because you're scared of what the outcome might be. And those fears are often legitimate. I knew that if I said something about Charlie Kirk, I could lose this contract, and it did happen. And you know what? So what? Whatever happens by speaking the truth is the best possible outcome. It might take you on a completely different path than what you are planning, but that's the path that God wants you to go on. And that is what faith is. It's knowing that speaking the truth might take you on a path that is painful, where you suffer, where you'd rather be in comfort, but you know that God has a plan and you just got to stick to it, and he'll bless you for it, whether it's in this life or the afterlife. And that's just something that I try and live by, that if I can see something is clearly wrong, I need to say something about it, even though I don't want to. It's just it's the tug of the Holy Spirit. When Charlie Kirk died, I was fighting everything in me to not put out a video on my channel that has an audience of all kinds of people that would maybe not want to hear me talk about Charlie Kirk. But I just thought, you know what? Like, this is on my heart. This is something that I care about. And this is a good time to actually talk about it. And, I lost a lot of followers. I think I lost, 35,000 Facebook followers. I lost about 10,000 YouTube followers. But so what? Like, all these things pale into insignificance when you look at the grand picture.
Well done, bro. And I have so much respect for you for that. Well done.
Yeah, and I think God has kind of prepared me for this moment. I think through all the stuff that I've gone through with politicians and the media, bashing me, it's really given me quite a thick skin. And it was painful to be lied about in the media and to have trolls coming after me and lying about me all the time. But it's prepared me for a time like this, where I can tell the truth and not really worry about the consequences. And yeah, it is like, it's a bit of a paradox, because when you become a father and a husband and all this stuff, you don't want to have a target on your back and implicate them in some way. Like, you're trying your best to protect them, and sometimes the best way to protect them is to just say nothing, like from a pragmatic, worldly point of view. But if you're looking at the bigger picture and what's going on in the world, we need more people that would rather not say anything, say something, because the only people that are actually making noise at the moment are the people on the extreme left or the extreme right. Yeah. And they're the ones dividing people and, polarizing people and getting people, ready for violence. And, those are the voices that unfortunately rise to the top.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I just feel that people who are moderate and peace loving just need to speak up. And that's exactly who Charlie Kirk was. The media, again, try to paint him as this far-right lunatic, which is exactly what they did to me. But I think more people are waking up to the fact that the media lies a lot, because you can actually go straight to the source. You can go to what the media are saying and say, okay, I'm going to go look at the video that they're talking about in its full context and compare the two. Is there any weight to what the media are saying? And most of the time, there's no weight to it at all.
Yeah.
Because it's hyper-edited, it's cherry-picked, and it completely misses the point.
Yeah.
So
it just feeds into their agenda. Yeah. No, it's a scary world we live in when you cannot, trust the news. I keep telling people, I remember as a child watching the news on television, and they were literally just reading facts. That's what they were doing.
Yeah.
This happened, then that happened, and then this happened, and then you're left going, I need to make up my own mind what I think about the facts. But I think it's been changing slowly but surely, and then drastically since COVID, where it's not news. It is editorial pieces filled with opinions, and not just opinions, like strong adjectives to explain their feelings about something, not facts. And it's always like slanted, towards somewhere. And it's so obvious. But I think many people are still, unfortunately, they are taken with that. And I mean, I've had awkward conversations with even people close to me when they say to me, just keep quiet, just keep quiet, because they're going to say this and they're going to do that and they're going to. And I go, but I can't. Like, it's not right, And same thing with that you're doing. We've both been in, different kinds of hot water with the media and with trolls. You said earlier that you do it because of faith. You do it because someone needs to say the right thing. But maybe this is an important question. How do we know what's right? How do you know what's right? What do you base it on? And what do you use as your... So what I'm seeing is something comes from the inside of you, which is, spiritual faith. And then there's the practical side, is finding the information, the real information, and then coming to conclusions, and then actually writing something or sharing something or pointing something out. Yeah. What is that process for you?
So let me just first say that I'm not always right. Like, we're both flawed humans. We don't always get it right. But I think as I've, gotten older and wiser, I'm wrong a lot less. So I'm making progress,
Okay, well done. I hear you.
But and this is, as I'm speaking, this is advice to myself, But this is what I try and do. I see what the media is saying, and then I'll try and go to the source. And it's you can often just find the full interview or the full post that a person's made, and just see if it lines up with what the media are doing, because we know what they do. They hyper edit and they cherry pick small parts of what someone's saying and ignore the rest. It's happened. That's what they do. So that's the first step. The second step is to, if something, makes me feel angry or upset because it's clearly wrong, is to let that feeling, sit for a little bit and, let it distill before I say anything. Because I think so many people make posts in the heat of the moment. They're angry or they're upset, and then they just blurt out whatever's, on their heart, and it often's just throwing fuel on the fire. So I will meditate on whatever it is and get to a point where I feel calm enough to, let my thoughts get into order. And then if at that point, I feel like I have something useful to say, then I will say it. A lot of the time, I just kind of don't say anything, even though it's super upsetting, even though I know it's wrong. I ask myself, is it worth it? A lot of the time, it's not worth it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you can gauge whether something is worth saying or not. It often feels, like a prompt from the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. Sometimes I'll try and write something off and say, no, I mustn't say anything, but then it will sit with me, and that thing just keeps nagging and say, you have to say something. I know it's super hard, but you have to say it.
Doesn't let you go.
Hey, go away.
Yeah, get out of here.
The next day and it'll be gone. Like tomorrow's a new day, and then you wake
hope
up
so,
and
yeah.
that thing's still there. You're like, okay.
I know that feeling, bro. It's hectic. Yeah, sure.
It's this huge internal dialogue.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of what you see is maybe, just scratching at the surface. Like there's a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
Before you even see the video or the tweet that I make. But yeah, like I don't always get it right. Sometimes I am, maybe tired or just, not thinking clearly, and I'll say something that I'll maybe regret.
Okay. Have you ever deleted a tweet? Just curious.
Yes.
Okay.
I have.
All right.
Many. Yeah.
I don't mean you wrote it and then didn't post it. I mean you wrote it, posted it, and then went back and deleted it. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, it's normally within the first 10 seconds where you post something and
you're like, this should not go out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you hope.
Sometimes you need to post. Sometimes you need to post it before you know.
Yeah.
That it's a bad idea.
Yeah, and you hope no one screenshot it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's happened. Yeah, like you'll post something, hey, and then someone's already taken a screenshot, and now you're in the news.
The Kiffness has said the following. Ish, hey, it happens. I just want to backtrack a little bit. I'm really curious about that inner dialogue and the source of it. Like you say, something is clearly wrong. Now that's wrong to you, but can you just elaborate on how do you measure that? And what is your source of truth, your main source of truth?
Just give me a second.
Amen. There you go.
Yeah, this book right here.
Come on.
I just want to get the light there. Get the light nice so you see the...
We see it.
There we go.
Looks good.
Yeah, funny enough, this was a Bible given to me from a fan in America. I rocked up at a venue in Houston, Texas, and then they said, we've got post for you. I was like, well, post? What?
Yeah.
There was a fan who couldn't make it to one of my other shows. So they found out which venue I was going to be at by the time this arrived in the post, and they posted this Bible to me. It's just amazing.
That's awesome, bro. Wow.
But yeah, so to your question, yeah, I think, just through years of studying the Bible, I did Bible college at university. I always try and make sure that my thoughts align with what is, biblically true. And, I've got a great group of friends, people in my men's group where we go through the various books. We're going through Ephesians at the moment, which is super interesting. The Bible is an amazing book. It's a difficult book to read, without inspiration, or if you just open it up and read it by yourself. I've always found that the Bible comes alive when you discuss it with other people. And that's always been very useful to me when you're just going through. It could just be a book like Ephesians, where Paul is writing to the people in Ephesus and, saying he's concerned about religion coming back when, I've given you the message of grace and now you're trying to go back to old customs. You discuss that and it just opens up thoughts with whatever you're going through in your life. Pretty much every book just has that ability to kind of find you where you're at. And yeah, a lot of the things that I post, are as a result of going to my men's group on a Tuesday night where we've discussed something, and it will plant a seed in my mind that will relate to what's going on in South Africa or in Israel or whatever it is. And that's where the source is. And a lot of the time, people don't like the truth. They don't like hearing the truth. So I'll get attacked from all corners. But when you know something is true, it becomes easier to kind of deal with it because you just know that what you're saying is based on the foundation of God. It's God's word. So
absolutely,
like you're standing on solid ground.
So good.
Yeah, when it's just your own thoughts and you're kind of being attacked, like you don't really have anything to stand on, and I guess that's when you start to question, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But if you know that it's rooted in foundational truth, it's a lot easier to stand by. So if I put out posts that are biblically inspired, I'm far less likely going to delete them, because even if I'm getting attacked, I know that it's solid. And it's, again, I mean, the Bible tells us that, persecution is part of the walk. People don't like the truth.
Yeah.
Especially those living in darkness. Like, if you shine a light in someone's face and they're used to the dark, it's like,
That's too much. That's a good analogy. That's a good analogy. Sure. Do you find that you're ever attacked by people who say they are Christians and they either go, bro, you are causing trouble, or that's not true, or you shouldn't say that? Or are you only attacked by people who are clearly not believers?
Yeah. When it comes to fellow Christians, I would say that I often have disagreements, but there's that common ground, and we know we're both coming from, a sincere place, and I'm happy to disagree with people who are willing to debate me in good faith,
Okay. Do you find that? Sorry, no, finish. Yeah. No, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, if someone calls themselves a Christian, and I'm speaking to myself again here, but there's no good faith, and it's just ad hominem attacks, like that's not coming from a good place.
Yeah.
But yeah, more often than not, when it's Christians that disagree with me, it's fine. Like we'll have like a civil debate or conversation, and it's more often than not like a good thing.
Okay.
But I think when it's people that aren't Christians, or think I'm crazy, they'll attack you.
Sure. Yeah, I find that there's something that I describe as cultural Christianity, where people who, if they had to fill out a form, they are not a Muslim, they're not an atheist, they're not a Hindu, so they just mark Christian because that's kind of the closest they have. But it's not.
Yeah.
it doesn't mean they have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and they've given their lives to Him. It just means that that's the culture that they come from. And they typically are not much different than the world and the way the world thinks and works. And I'm sure you've come across what I'm talking about.
No, 100%.
Yeah. And I think there's actually a lot of, to me, that's kind of like a mission field in a way. Because I used to be one. I used to be a cultural Christian, and I had to get a real wake-up call. And it changed my life. And so I feel like one of the things I focus on is trying to help those people, realize, man, I'm not saved because my parents went to church. I'm not saved because I went to Sunday school. I'm only saved if I know Jesus Christ and have given my life to Him. It's Uncle Angus. Uncle Angus always says, "Good people don't go to heaven; believers go to heaven." So, that's a strong message, I think. Have you found that to be true?
Yeah, I think people, living in civilized societies where we have, civil rights and we have freedom to, express our thoughts and cultural and religious beliefs. I think people that live in these societies don't actually realize how Christian their mindset actually is.
Mm.
Because
that's a good point.
Yeah, so people who are cultural Christians, I think, take what Christianity has done for granted. They don't actually realize that they're able to live the lives that they do because of the foundations of Christianity. And obviously, the next step for them is to actually just submit their lives to God, to Christ, and, it will take their lives to the next level. But I think on a foundational level, Christianity doesn't actually get the credit it deserves. And
that's a good point.
There are all kinds of existential threats to our way of life that are coming to the forefront now.
Yeah,
I think for the first time, for a lot of people, they are experiencing, evil manifest in a way that they've never seen before, with events like the death of Charlie Kirk, where people are celebrating his death and saying all kinds of ridiculous things. And I think people are actually realizing that morality is a thing, that there actually is good and evil, that not everything is relative. There is one objective truth. And they're seeing evil, like it's you see how people are reacting to tragedies like this, and it's just clear that this is not just a political thing; it's a spiritual warfare that's going on.
Come on, so true.
So
you believe life is spiritual? There's a spiritual warfare going on.
I think everything's spiritual. I think.
Absolutely.
I think I need to remind myself that there's no political solution to a spiritual problem. Like, people are lost, man. You look at the ruling party, the ANC, even the DA to an extent, they're lost. Like, and you can try your best in your own capacity to find political solutions to our problems, but I think you just always end up with more of the same. I think more people are just waking up to the fact that this is not just a physical world that we're living in.
Yeah.
That there are literally things that we cannot see, that we feel. We feel evil and we feel good, but we can't see it. It's like the wind. You can feel the wind. You don't see it, but you know that it's there. And, I've grown up my whole life knowing that the spiritual world is there, but I think it's just coming to the surface in a more tangible way for a lot of people who, might have,
if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
No, it's become very
So, yeah.
obvious, and I think, one of the ways that I think you're right. One of the ways some people have woken up is by looking at those horrible videos where people celebrate Charlie's death, and you literally see the demon in them laughing. Like, that's the only explanation. And I think people have gone, whoa, that that gave me chills. That actually makes me run to church. So I think what the enemy meant for evil has really started to turn for good in many ways. But I also think that the attack is amping up against Christianity especially. And I think we're going to see more of it. I mean, in our own nation, I'm sure you're aware, there's this minister trying to get the CRL committee to regulate religion, regulate faith. They literally want to tell people how to do church. And if you don't follow their rules, they want to put you in jail. That's a crazy persecution that's happening from a government level. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but it's a scary thing that's happening right now.
I wasn't aware of that. All I know is that, I think the ANC knows that their time is almost up, so they're really trying to ramp up, the regulations and everything while they can. And
it does seem that way.
It's just clear that, there's never been a nation in history that has, regulated itself into prosperity. And the ANC, I think
that's a good point.
The ANC just has this mindset that the only reason, BEE hasn't worked is because we haven't implemented enough of it. So they just they're trying to hammer as much of it as they can until it works.
Let's just do more. Let's just do more of this and see how it works. Yeah, that's hectic.
Like, imagine a doctor, amputating an arm and saying to the patient, "Are you better?" No. Okay, well, let's just amputate the next arm.
Yo, that is a hectic analogy, but it's so true. It's so hectic. It's sad, man. Our nation has so much potential. We should be thriving. We can thrive. I mean, do you have hope for South Africa? Do you think, things can change around?
There's always hope. There's always hope.
It's a tough one. I know it's a tough one.
When things seem so dark around you, I think that's when the light shines brightest. And I think we're at that point now where, there was a lot of hope for the ANC. Like when Mandela was president and Mbeki wasn't president, I backed those guys. I didn't doubt them for a second. They seemed like they knew which direction the country needed to go in, and they pursued that. And it's literally, again, it comes down to the point of, this world that we're living in is not just physical. I think a lot of the corruption that we're seeing is deeply demonic. It's not of them, it's of the devil. And as spiritual people, we need to know how to combat this. It's not something that we can fix on our own. Again, I want to say that I really don't think there's a political solution to what's going on. You can have a party like the DA that have all the best plans in place and all the best policies and have every right thing on paper, but if they don't address the spiritual problem and the spiritual sickness that we're experiencing, I don't think things are going to get better. I mean, all you have to do is look at what's happening now with Tembisa Hospital and 2 billion rand being siphoned out of Tembisa Hospital for luxury cars, money that was meant to help sick people. No one in their right mind would do that. That is demonic.
Yeah.
Like, that is a special kind of evil.
Yeah.
But in order to address it, you need to understand that the person who decided this was a good idea, it didn't come from them. The same spirit that is possessing them is the same spirit that could possess someone like you or me. You know, we're not immune from this stuff. And yeah, I think when you see it from that point of view, when you see that it's like a spiritual realm that is affecting all of this, it actually gives you more capacity to have compassion and empathy for these people, because you realize that it's not them. It's a spirit that is affecting these people, and you know they're people that desperately need to be saved.
Yeah, but I mean, there's the reality of, you know, as people, they do need to take responsibility, and someone has to keep them accountable. But at the same time, we do know that their souls need to be saved. I just want to point out one thing that you said now, that I don't specifically agree with the whole sentence that you said, but we can maybe debate it. You said that, you know, they are possessed, and you and I can also be possessed by the same spirit. I believe that once we are born again, saved, we cannot be demon possessed, but we can open up a door, and we can be demon oppressed, like they can have an influence. But I don't think you can be taken over like someone who's not saved. So this just for me, that brings some clarity. I do think people who are born again can do things they shouldn't do, but it's not because of possession, it's because of they have opened a door and given the enemy a legal right. But that goes down a whole spiritual warfare talk. But I just wanted to clarify that, because I do believe Christians need to know that if you are truly born again, you cannot be possessed. Anyway, I don't know if do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I mean, I can only draw from my own experience. You know, when I was at Rhodes, you know, I got baptized and, you know, gave my life to God. And even though, you know, baptism is a wonderful symbolic thing that we go through, where, you know, we're getting rid of the old, and, you know, the new comes from the water. I was battling demons that, you know, I still struggle with to this day, you know.
Okay.
Just things that, whether it's pride or just, you know, I've got like an addictive personality, all that kind of stuff I struggle with to a less extent. But I do think that we need to understand that, you know, edifying our hearts and our spirits is not just a once-off process. Like, you can't just get baptized and then go, okay, I'm good. I'm not going to go to church. I'm not going to go to men's group. Those are things that you have to keep doing. Otherwise, you're going to slip back into old ways. Yeah. And even though, you know, baptism and getting saved are wonderful occasions, I don't think it's the be all and end all.
I do agree.
It's the start of a journey.
Yes.
And that's why I say that.
Okay.
Yeah, like in the spiritual battlefield, you know, one way to kind of get injured is to just go, you know, I got this. Like, no one can touch me.
Okay.
And then next thing, someone comes and claps you on the head.
That's true. No, I totally agree. I think we are saying the same thing. I agree. For me, it's that understanding of there's the three levels of becoming saved, which is really important for us to understand. It's once you get saved, you are justified. Then you start your journey of sanctification. So it's justification, sanctification, and then one day when we go to heaven or Jesus comes back, it's glorification. And the sanctification is what you're talking about. Is we need to be constantly aware that we are in a process of becoming more like Christ, which is a process of dying to self and coming alive, you know, walking in the fullness of the new creation. And a big part of that is inner healing, is dealing with your past, dealing with wounds, dealing with issues, lies you might believe about yourself. We have seen people, also same thing, listen, I know Jesus, I've been baptized, I've been in church most of my life, but they never learned about the basics of inner healing. And once they were introduced to that, and we guided them through that, their lives were completely different. They were free from so many difficult things. Most men sit with a lie about their identity because of their relationship with their dad. And they don't know, most men don't know how to deal with that. So they would struggle with typical things, you can have a wound from your mom, you can have a wound from siblings, you can have a wound from a teacher. And those things have a deep impact. And I think many Christians unnecessarily walk around the same mountain in their lives, not getting to, the promised land of walking in true freedom. Because who the Son sets free is free indeed, but there's stuff that needs to come into alignment. And I think that's the hope of the gospel, is that it's a continuous process of becoming more like Christ. And so I do think we're saying the same thing in a way, just maybe in different ways. But this is powerful stuff, man. Yeah.
So I want to take Erica Kirk, for example. I mean, probably one of the most profound moments in at least in my life, just seeing this woman who's just had her husband murdered, forgiving the person that murdered him. I mean, there's so many people that I think needed to see that. I don't know if you saw, but I think it's an actor, Tim Allen.
Yes, that was powerful. Massive.
He put out a statement saying that when he saw Erica Kirk forgiving the killer of her husband, it allowed him to forgive the guy who killed his dad. And he's been holding on to that for 60 years.
That's crazy.
That unforgiveness. That's like a heavy thing.
Yeah.
And you need to ask, I mean, when you're holding on to unforgiveness, like how much of that is purely psychological? How much of that is, spiritual, demonic? Because I think a lot of unforgiveness that we hold on to makes us act in ways that are unbecoming. I know that I'm guilty of that. It made me realize how bitter I am towards, people like Messina, the mayor who demonized me and made me lose work. I lost work from that as well, just because someone else called me a racist. There was a huge contract that I was going to be working with a big company and making a parody song for them.
Yeah.
Lost that because of him.
Sure.
Just the government in general, just like seeing day after day, all the scandals and just the nonsense that goes on. Like, it's so easy to just become hardened and bitter by all the stuff that's going on. And when you see someone who's literally just lost her husband, letting go of that and forgiving, even though it's hard, is super powerful. Yeah, I think it's important as well for people to realize that when you forgive someone who's done something super terrible to you, doesn't mean that you think that they don't deserve justice. Because, obviously if someone goes and kills your husband, justice needs to be served so that they don't go and do the same thing to someone else. They need to go to jail. But you can still forgive them, because if you don't, then justice becomes vengeful. It becomes this thing of, feeling good that this person is now suffering. And I don't think that is something that is healthy. And, even now, as we speak, someone like Julius Malema is sitting in a courtroom and his fate is being determined, whether he's going to go to jail or not. It's so difficult for me not to, get this feeling of happiness if he goes to jail, because
I hear you. Oh.
He has caused so much pain and so much division. But as Christians, I feel that, we shouldn't seek vengeance. I think justice is an important part of it, but there shouldn't be an emotional attachment to justice. And if he's hurt you, whether directly or indirectly, forgive him. We have to forgive him.
Yeah.
Because we need to understand that it's not him. He's a precious, creation of God, just like you and me. He's God's child who's in desperate need of salvation, and, he needs to see the light. And the stuff that he's doing, all this, singing Kill the Boer and, firing off AK-47s, that's demonic. That's just the spirit that's possessed him and, is making him do all this stuff. And we as Christians need to fight that. We don't need to fight him. We need to fight the spirits that are causing this stuff to happen.
Absolutely.
So,
Sure.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm getting at, where, you can become complacent as a Christian and think, none of this stuff can affect me. But even something like unforgiveness or feeling vengeful when someone like Malema goes to jail, those are the wrong spirits, influencing you and your decisions. So
Yeah.
that's why I say, like, we can debate whether it's demon possession or demon influence and that kind of stuff, but there is this force that's always, pressing on us, and if we're not careful, it can influence us. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, but I do take your point, and I understand exactly, where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So we're on the same page.
But it's a spiritual battle. And for those who are listening that do read the Bible and want to know, study Ephesians 6, study 2 Corinthians 10. It tells us how to deal with these things and make sure that you tie into your church and get people around you. And prayer is powerful. Can't neglect that. It's so true. Yeah. Brother, I want to still talk to you about a lot of things. This has been such an awesome talk. Are you looking for a scripture there? Do you want to share a scripture?
Hey, you said Ephesians 6.
Yeah, the armor of God.
No. Oh,
What?
no, I was about to say, how's that? But my bookmark is on the page before Ephesians 6. How's
Come on, that's cool.
Would have been way more powerful if it was on the actual page, but
Close enough, though.
close enough.
Yeah, it literally says, I mean, you can read it. It literally says, our battle is not against flesh and blood. Oh.
Yeah, put on the armor of God. And that's it. It's the armor of God isn't like, physical armor. It's protecting our spirits and our hearts, and yeah, just making sure that we don't become like hardened, bitter, resentful people. And I must say, like, in the wake of Charlie Kirk, I've noticed that a lot of conservative commentators have, they become quite like aggressive. People who call themselves Christians, but there's a sort of militant element to what they are saying, which I think is maybe a little bit dangerous. They're creating a sort of us versus them, left versus right war, which I think is unhealthy and is only exacerbating the problem. And
Yeah, what's the end of that? It's tricky.
Yeah.
It's tricky though when there are two sides, with different values. It's difficult to not say there are two sides. But it is. Yeah, I think what you seem to speak up for the moderate who.
Yeah, they're moderate people on the left who actually responded very reasonably to the death of Charlie Kirk. So these conservatives are putting those people in the same box, which is dangerous.
Yeah. No, I agree. We have to watch how we say things. We always have to communicate the truth in love, weigh what we say and how we say it. And I think that remains important. And some people are just hurt, But I think on that memorial service, there were a few speeches that stood out for me, and the ones that stood out were the ones that came from a true biblical foundation, with loving, in a loving way, and with the forgiveness underneath it. Those were the most powerful. But you had those who were also they were quite aggressive and attacking. And you thought,
yeah, I mean, there was Tucker Carlson, bringing up the whole the Jews killed Jesus trope. I mean, why?
It was not necessary.
At his funeral, it's bizarre to me. And it was just unfortunate. I mean, it's not to say that Tucker Carlson hasn't, said some good things in the past, but he's also, you just got to be careful. And I hope there are people that are holding him accountable to things that he says, because I mean, there are so many people watching that.
Yeah.
And if you're going to use that platform to fuel anti-Semitism, it's irresponsible.
Yeah.
So
because it's just weird, because at the same time he was actually sharing the gospel in a way, and then he dropped that in a very sort of calling them hummus eaters, the hummus eaters in Jerusalem. Why? It wasn't necessary. Anyway, listen, but I think these things are important to talk about. It's we live in a world where we have to have wisdom and share the truth in love, as I said, and how do we do that? So maybe as a last, for those who are listening, maybe as a last message to those listening to South Africa, what would you say is the important thing for us to keep in mind at this time, and how to deal with one another and with the times we live in?
I think, the truth is a difficult thing to navigate, because sometimes you need to just speak the truth, and it is going to offend people, and it is going to rub some people up the wrong way. But sometimes that's actually necessary. You can still speak the truth in love. But I think as Christians, we can't just sugarcoat things either, because otherwise, what's the point of that? If you're diluting a message to try and appease others, there's no power in that. So I think my message would be to, stand firm in what is true, what is biblical. Don't seek vengeance or, create debates that escalate. You can speak the truth in a way that is moderate and respectful, but without diluting what you're trying to say. And I guess it's always going to be a tightrope between, being strong in your convictions, but also being graceful in the way that you speak to people. And it's something that I struggle with. I try and be graceful and, see where other people are coming from, but I do, sometimes call people dumb or whatever, worse words. Don't be dumb, bro.
Come on.
So, we're never at a point where, we have everything figured out. We never will. And at least we live in a time where there's never a dull moment. And
that's true.
we just got and a sense of humor. A sense of humor is very important. I think that's probably my one saving grace, is that I can always have a sense of humor about things, no matter how bad they get.
Yeah.
A sense of humor will always put things into perspective and help you navigate this dark and evil world. And it'll always give you an extra spring in your step if you can just laugh at things. That's what I try and do.
How many parodies have you wanted to make but didn't make that you just laugh about in your own head? Probably quite a few.
Well, I did a parody of Toto Africa that I wanted to stay up on YouTube, but the guitarist from Toto didn't like it, so they copyright striked it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
What was the parody about?
It was actually just about staying home and flattening the curve, which in hindsight, I might not have actually posted that video because I actually don't know what to believe about COVID anymore.
Oh, what is true?
It was a weird time.
It was.
But I was encouraging people, stay home, flatten the curve here in Africa. I was like, yeah, we can do this. Only 2 weeks at home. Come on, guys, let's go.
Oh,
they played it on the news, and then the guitarist from Toto saw it and was like, no. Please don't.
And we apparently didn't flatten the curve.
Yeah, the curve just went.
Oh my word!
But luckily, my YouTube also went like that.
Okay, luckily, yeah, for a while. I'm just glad you said hindsight, because I always wait for my guests to say that on the In HeinzSight BoldCast. So
hindsight, I like it.
Did you get it? Did you get it?
Oh, is it actually? Oh, it's called the HeinzSight podcast. BoldCast.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you.
2020.
Absolutely, yeah. Brother, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on the program, and I'm sure everyone knows, but just in case, where can they follow you, support you? Obviously, your YouTube channel. I know you're on X. Where else should people go follow and know about you?
Kiffness.com is where I post all my tour dates. I'm mostly overseas for the rest of the year in Europe and the UK, but I'm also playing Kirstenbosch at the end of the year.
Oh, cool.
So you can go to thekiffness.com for that. And please do not follow me on the streets. I'd prefer if you just followed me online. Thank you.
Sounds like a plan. All right. Brother, thanks so much once again. May God bless you, your marriage, your family, and all that you do. And thank you for standing. I do appreciate you. Know that we are praying for you and supporting you for everything that you do. You really are an inspiration. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, Heinz. It's been awesome.
All right,
God
man.
God bless you, man.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the In HeinzSight BoldCast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it empowered you, equipped you, and at least made you think about a few things you may not have thought about before. We want to encourage you to leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with as many people as possible, and check out the other videos on this channel. There are some amazing conversations that you may not have heard yet from people that you may not be familiar with, but that have amazing things to share with you. So make sure you go and check them out. We also want to encourage you to go out and be bold, stand for the truth. Do not be ashamed of your biblical or more conservative worldview. It's time to stand up. It's time to speak up. Remember, boldness is contagious.